I'm Antonio Graceffo, the author of The Monk from Brooklyn. I'm also the author of Rediscovering the Khmers, and I'm the host of the web TV show Martial Arts Odyssey. Martial art that most people outside of Cambodia are familiar with, of course, is Muay Thai. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but Muay Thai became popularized as a sport. Thailand has more professional fighters than any country in the world. I figure the US has 4 times the population of Thailand, but nowhere near as many boxers. There's almost 100,000 registered professional boxers in Thailand. So that's part of why Muay Thai became so famous. Now there's debate between Cambodia and Thailand. Is Muay Thai, first? Should the art be called Muay Thai? Should it be called Bradal Saray? The thing is that I think in a way it's a moot point. Most likely BOKATOR is much older than Muay Thai. It's just as modern Muay Thai only goes back to about less than 100 years. But yeah, probably BOKATOR is older. What should we call the art outside? Well, the thing is that the Thais promoted it outside of their country, and Cambodia didn't. And sadly, even today, there's no BOKATOR school. To my knowledge, there is no official BOKATOR school outside of Cambodia. And inside Cambodia, other than Grandmaster Sang Kim saying it's difficult to learn BOKATOR as a foreigner, and if you want to go to Cambodia and do kickboxing and learn kickboxing, one of the only places you could do that as a foreigner is Paddy's Gym. So there's this whole thing that, anybody can get on a plane, fly to Thailand tomorrow, walk into a camp. There's a million camps to go train in, but they don't have that option in Cambodia, so this is sort of preventing the art from growing. I went to Cambodia looking for BOKATOR, and I was there for about 18 months before I finally met Grandmaster Sang Kim. And it took me that long in the country, so you can imagine how hard it is for outside. Since then, I've been credited as being the person who discovered BOKATOR for the West. I was the first foreigner to discover it, the first foreign student, and I wrote the first articles in magazines. Black Belt magazine actually was the one that published the first ever story about BOKATOR outside of Cambodia, and started the interest, the world interest in this. Tim Peck and I met on another movie called Krabai Lek Gon, Buffalo Protecting Child, and Tim was in Australia at the time, and he was doing some graphics for the movie and posters and websites and things. And we said, someday we want to meet, someday we want to work together. And he went to Cambodia, and I was in Korea at the time, and I was like seriously overweight. It was one of those layoffs. If you watch my video series, you'll see my weight increase, decrease, increase, decrease. It's just crazy, man. I just get really fat sometimes, and then I just get like in shape other times. And anyway, Tim happened to catch me when I was like really out of shape, and I was in Korea. He called me. He's like, "Hey, come back to Cambodia. Let's do a movie." So I shot down to Cambodia, and we shot the famous, or now almost infamous, BOKATOR movie, which is like 2 years behind schedule being released, but I'm hoping that'll come out soon. But anyway, the reason we did that movie was to promote BOKATOR, to show it to people outside of Cambodia, and Tim, of course, is himself a Khmer refugee who was resettled in Australia, so he, I think, feels very strongly, and I do too, that we need to educate Khmer young people outside of Cambodia. They're growing up in the States or France or Canada or Australia, and we need to educate them about their culture and about their homeland, and create some positive pride. I see a lot of negative pride where they're like, oh, we are better than the Viets, and we're going to kill them, in Long Beach and in Lowell in the States. These kids are shooting each other up. The Vietnamese kids never been to Vietnam, the Khmer kids never been to Cambodia, but they hate each other and they shoot each other. This is crazy. Oh, we're the best, we built Angkor Wat. Yeah, Angkor Wat's wonderful, it's 1,000 years ago. Well, let's take something you're doing right now that's very positive. BOKATOR is very positive. You can promote this martial art, you can make movies, you can do demonstrations, you can, there's so much you can do. With martial art, you can get people to listen and look, people who don't care about culture, who would never even think of visiting a foreign culture or country, and yet they're interested in martial art, and that's how you suck them in, and then you show them how wonderful Cambodian culture is once you get them on that hook, and that's what I believe BOKATOR is. So Tim and I did that movie together, and of course we were torn. Do we want to do a documentary explaining about BOKATOR, or do we want to do a movie, and we both love doing movies, so we did both. So it's going to be, when it finally gets released, there's a pretty long documentary and then maybe a 20-minute movie, and of course I get to play the bad guy. Okay, one of the reasons that we think it's so important to make the movie about BOKATOR almost died out. During the Khmer Rouge period, they killed all the martial arts masters. And Sam Kim Sein survived, but he endured that whole 4 years. He escaped after 1979, after the Vietnamese invaded Cambodia. And he went to America and eventually came back to Cambodia to open the BOKATOR school. And he went looking for BOKATOR masters who had survived, and he found less than 10. And out of those 10, one of them was over 90 years old. Several of them were in their 60s, and they were not healthy. And of the other ones, he's never said this, but I've interviewed them and filmed with them, and a lot of them just didn't know that much. They knew a few stances, a few moves, they didn't know that much. So none of them was really in a position to save the art or to promote it. And so he got them all together, and basically he codified the system. And so the system that exists now, white krama, blue krama, green krama, black krama, brown krama, whatever it is, there's the belts that you earn, the steps you have to go through to earn those belts, the competitions, the fighting. This is all him, and he was a Hapkido instructor for many years, so I think that he sort of looked at how the Koreans and the Japanese standardized their martial arts, and they had a system of belts and books and things you had to learn and test, and so he wanted to do that for Khmer BOKATOR, and then it becomes legitimate martial art. And again, comparing it to Muay Thai is not a codified martial art. Muay Thai is a fighting system, but it's not codified, meaning if you start training in Muay Thai tomorrow, it's not a given that you're going to learn this or that first. There's no set order that you learn Muay Thai. You just go to the camp and you train and you train and you train, and you learn a little, you learn a little. You go to BOKATOR, there's a system. Well, you learn this first, and then that, and then that, and this animal, and that animal, and there's a certain order in which you learn, and the testing and all this. Tim and I thought it was really important to make the movie to help promote and preserve the art, and to let people outside of Cambodia know about BOKATOR. Actually, when I first started, people inside Cambodia didn't even know about BOKATOR. When I was looking for BOKATOR, 9 out of 10, no, it would be more like 10 out of 10 people hadn't heard of it. And when I went back to do the History Channel show in Cambodia, I would say that 3 out of 10 people, just random people on the street, had already heard of it. 3 or 4 or 5, you know, it was a lot of people had already heard of it. So it had grown, you know, overnight. He went from a handful of students to hundreds of students, even thousands that he's had over the period of the 4 or 5 years since I've been working with him, Grandmaster Sam Kim Sein. In Australia, martial arts are very popular. Martial arts from all over Asia, also from Europe, and then there's also a significant Khmer population in Australia, so I'm really hoping the art will get exported to Australia. I'm also hoping it'll get exported to the United States, to Long Beach and Lowell and some Houston, some places where there's large Khmer populations. So I'm actually heading to Australia July 1st to promote Martial Arts Odyssey, and I'm going to be shooting Martial Arts Odyssey Australia all over the country. It's my web TV show. We'll be training in all these different gyms, all these different styles of filming, and I'm very much looking forward to going to Melbourne and meeting with the Khmer kickboxers who live there, through doing Brat al Saray, living with them, training with them, filming with them, and it'll be very interesting for me to live and train with Khmer people outside of Cambodia, and you know, to promote that, and also to tell people in the States, because the viewership for the show, a lot of it is in Australia, and then a lot of it's in the States, and so it's just nice to show people in the States that these people from Cambodia are living in Australia and they're trying to preserve their art. I think it's nice. Every cultural connection we can find, it's interesting, you know. And then when I go to the States and I film, you know, and then the Australians can see that, and the people in Lowell and Long Beach, they probably don't know about the Khmers that are living in Melbourne, so it'd be nice to be able to show that to them. And there's probably tons of Australians who don't know about the Khmers who live in Melbourne. So it'd be just one more way of educating the local people about their own neighbors. They're living right next door to that guy, and they don't know if he's Chinese or Japanese, and it turns out he's Khmer.